Well, let's shift our focus now to the Biden White House. President Biden doesn't do many public events these days, and that's probably for the best, let's be honest, because when he does, they are really something. President Biden signing an executive order this week to push back, he says, against these discriminatory legislative attacks on the LGBTQ plus community. This, of course, was a reference to Florida's parental rights bill and attempts to stop kids from going to drag shows in Texas. According to the New York Times, specifically, the executive order is designed to counter efforts by Republicans like Ron DeSantis.
I'm also proud to have signed an executive order on my first day in office to combat discrimination against LGBTQI, plus Americans.
Yeah, he's proud of it. Having a little trouble, though. And here's more from the president.
I don't have to tell you about the ultra-MAGA agenda attacking families and our freedoms. 300 discriminatory bills introduced in states across this country. In Texas, knocking on front doors to harass and investigate parents who are raising transgender children. In Florida, going after Mickey Mouse, for God's sake. That's straight close to home.
Now, Biden cares about this community, of course, because they helped him get elected. We heard from that from James Rose in the last hour. But about 7% of the U.S., adults anyway, identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or something other than homosexual, according to Gallup's most recent survey on this. This is from February. That's double what it was in 2012. Now, Biden's event at the White House yesterday also comes as they are dealing with multiple crises. Let's run through some of the headlines here for you. We have a flooding crisis shutting down the baby formula plant in Michigan. We have heat and humidity killing at least 2,000 cattle in Kansas. With food prices climbing, the UN is warning of crippling global shortages. But don't worry, this White House has everything under control, right?
Let me see if I have anything new for you on that. I think it's been a couple of days since we have been asked that question. Okay. I don't have anything new. I know we made some announcements last week. I just don't have them in front of me.
They never do. They never have anything in front of them. Let's welcome in now Dave Rubin, host of the Rubin Report, author of Don't Burn This Country. And Dave, obviously no one at the White House read your book because they are burning this country down.
John, it should have been part of the spending bill to give every one of these clowns who are destroying the country a copy of my book, because yes, the solutions are all in there. By the way, on Corinne Jean-Pierre, who was looking through her notebook there, the important thing, John, during this Pride Month is that we note that she is the first Black lesbian press secretary. It's not that she's incompetent. We shouldn't focus on that. It's not that she doesn't have answers or know anything about any of the things she's talking about. She is a Black lesbian, and we must focus on what's important during this very special Pride Month.
Right. It's like Jackie Robinson. We talk about him being the first Black person to break into the Major League Baseball, but he also had the stats to back up excellence as well. You gotta deliver if you're going to be in these positions. You know, and I was watching another network yesterday, and they were just talking about the economy, and they were showing stills from this Pride event at the White House yesterday. And the guy who was there, the guest of honor in that all-white suit, he looked like he was having a fabulous time. And I just thought it was just so discordant to the way most Americans feel right now. You know, this is not a time to be celebrating. This is the public event that they're going to feature at the White House, I guess, of course, because Joe Biden needs these folks to get reelected. It's all about politics right now.
Well, look, Joe Biden has no idea what he's doing. It is just very obvious. Even in those little clips that you played right there, he cannot say a single sentence without mumbling or muddling or confusing the issue or not getting to the end of the sentence correctly, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think he knows what he's doing, and he's just being pushed out there and poorly usually reading the script. But as for all of the stuff, you know, his bad joke about DeSantis going after Mickey Mouse and everything else, as you wisely pointed out, you know, this is about transparency in education and making sure that parents get to know what teachers, state employees are talking to their young children about. So his silly joke about Mickey Mouse, it's like, yeah, DeSantis picked the right fight with a giant corporation that is telling us, they are flat out telling us on video that they are trying to indoctrinate children. So he picked the right fight. And by the way, Disney's stock is down. Last I saw, it was around $50 billion since DeSantis picked this fight. Or I should really say Disney picked the fight, and DeSantis did what conservatives and Republicans usually don't do, which is punch back, and he did it well and effectively, and that's why they're all going after him now.
Doesn't this also show us how concerned they are about Ron DeSantis, who is not running for president right now? He's running for re-election as governor of Florida. They're trying to hedge their bets because, look, you know, Ron DeSantis looks strong. Donald Trump looks strong. They talk about the ultra MAGA laws that Ron DeSantis is passing. They talk about other places as well. But really, they're so hyper-focused on Ron DeSantis. I also think it's interesting now, too, that a lot of the press is attacking Ron DeSantis for refusing these vaccines for 5-year-olds. After the success he had during the first part of the pandemic, they have the gall to come back and question Ron DeSantis about his decision-making. Don't talk about Andrew Cuomo or anybody else who failed miserably during the pandemic. They got to focus back on DeSantis.
This is all very confusing because, as you know, John, Anthony Fauci, who is, he got the vaccine 7 times boosted. The fact checkers will have to get me on that one. He got COVID again yesterday. And I can tell you, as a new Floridian, Florida, despite the disastrous economic policies of this administration, Florida is absolutely flourishing. Every store here is jam-packed. Getting things is difficult because the supply chain issues go beyond the Florida borders, obviously. But this is a state that is absolutely booming, that will do much better related to what's going to happen nationally with this oncoming recession and everything else going on. But you're right. This is exactly what they're going to do to DeSantis now. And to use your Jackie Robinson reference before, I'll stick with the sports. The thing is that the Republicans have a really deep bench right now. The Democrats really have nothing. They have a guy who is mentally compromised with a woman that was polling at 0 in her own party, Kamala Harris. And then, you've got Gay Pete, and I only call him Gay Pete because they said that was the only reason they hired him. And you got the rest of them. So you really have nobody with any support there, which, mark my words, I'm going to say it here on Newsmax, which is why they're going to throw Michelle Obama in 2024. That's
Everyone
my prediction.
says that. I remain skeptical about that.
You're hearing it online, but I'm putting it out on Newsmax right now. But the point is that the Republicans, whether it's Trump, whether it's DeSantis, and as you said, DeSantis has his own situation. He has to win in November here, which I think he's going to win by an awful lot. And I know how much he loves this state. I don't know if he wants to run. But then you've got Tim Scott. You've got Nikki Haley. You have Candace Owens. I mean, who knows what they're going to do? The point is there are thought leaders on the right now. The left has a combination of socialists and people who hate America and otherwise incompetent buffoons who just check off a diversity box. That ain't enough, and people can see it.
Yeah, and people ask, well, what about Ron DeSantis? And what if he leaves Florida? All my Floridian friends say, we don't want him to become president. We like what he's doing in Florida too much. There's a deep Republican bench in Florida, too, behind Ron DeSantis. I got to put you on the spot a little bit, too, here yesterday, because we all know Governor DeSantis was asked about Elon Musk's early support for him in 2024. How are you coming down on this? This seems to be emerging as a talking point. A lot of people like to ask conservatives, DeSantis or Trump. What do you think, Dave?
Look, I think they have to work it out. I love what Ron DeSantis has done here in Florida. And as I always tell all my neighbors, I'm here to keep Florida, Florida. I think it's fairly obvious that Trump is going to run. But what my hope would be is that they have a sit down. It doesn't need to be something that we all have to know about, but they come to some agreement, whether it's going to be that DeSantis will be the VP and Trump will just ram this thing through one more time for one more term because he's getting up there in age as well, or whether I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't think it matters. The point is that either one of them will be significantly better. I think that Trump obviously has his pluses, which are that he is Trump and the energy around him and all of those things, but there's minuses too, related to how much the machine hates him and all of the chaos that it'll unearth. DeSantis has almost all positives, but he has to work it out with Trump. And if guys like us can do anything, it's that we can talk about that honestly, and then hopefully they will realize, hey, there's got to be a sit down at Mar-a-Lago. It'll be a lot more pleasant than when Trump had to do it with Mitt Romney, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, no hostage videos from that one, obviously. And look, Ron DeSantis can get reelected. He can finish out his term in Florida. I don't know about vice president because that's kind of a thankless job, but maybe Secretary of State or something like that in the Trump administration. But again, this is a good problem for Republicans to have, and it's the opposite problem that Democrats have. Dave, always great to see you. We'll see you on the internet and in bookstores everywhere. Great to talk to you.
Good to see you, my friend.